You have $900 in your checking account and $2,400 of bills waiting for you. That is the whole problem, not a theory, not a finance course, not a cute budgeting worksheet. Just $900 standing in front of $2,400, asking you who gets to survive this month. The rent is due in 6 days. The car payment is already late. The credit card app is flashing red. The electric bill says final notice. Your phone bill is tied to the number your boss uses to reach you. And somewhere in the pile, there is a medical bill you keep pretending is not real because it looks like it was printed in another language. Most people think the responsible move is to pay a little bit toward everything, spread the pain, show good faith, keep everybody quiet. But that is one of the most expensive myths in personal finance. When the money is not enough, paying everyone a little can still leave the most dangerous bills unpaid. If you like calm, honest financial breakdowns with real examples, real numbers, and no hype, subscribe to the channel before we go deeper, because today we are not going to ask what a perfect person would do. We are going to ask what a trapped person should do next. Here is the core idea. When you stop paying bills, the biggest risk is not always the bill itself. The biggest risk is choosing the wrong bill to save first. One payment protects your stability. Another payment only protects your pride. They can feel identical when you are scared, but they are not identical. This is where budgeting for beginners usually breaks down. A normal budget assumes the month is cooperative. Income comes in, expenses go out, and every category behaves. But a crisis budget is different. A crisis budget does not ask, "What should I pay?" It asks, "What breaks first if I do not?" So you take the stack and you stop reading it emotionally. You do not start with the angriest envelope. You do not start with the company that emailed you 3 times. You do not start with the bill that makes you feel most ashamed. You start with the bill that can remove your ability to recover. That means shelter is not just rent. Shelter is the address on your job application, the place your kids sleep, the shower before work, the locked door between you and chaos. Transportation is not just a car payment. It is the bridge between your paycheck routine and every other bill in your life. But your brain does not naturally think that way. Your brain sees the credit card warning and imagines your credit score falling through the floor. It sees the collector's call and imagines judgment. It sees the medical bill and feels stupid for not understanding it. This is Fanon. That is why the first danger is not the late fee. The first danger is panic ordering. Panic ordering is when fear grabs your $900 and starts handing it to whoever screams the loudest, while the quiet bill in the corner is the one that can actually knock down the next domino. You might pay the credit card first because it feels like the adult thing to do. The app is polished, the balance is clear, the minimum payment has a neat little button that says "Pay Now," almost like responsibility has been reduced to one tap. But while you are protecting the car payment is aging in the background. And if that car is how you get to work, then the car is not just a loan. It is the machine that carries your income from one week to the next. That is the first rule of the $900 decision. A bill is more dangerous when it is connected to the thing that creates your next paycheck. A credit score can recover slowly. A lost job can make every other bill heavier immediately. Now you might be thinking, but if I miss the credit card, my credit repair journey gets harder. That is true. A late payment can hurt. Collections can damage your report. Interest can make the balance grow. But credit repair is much harder when your income collapses because you protected the wrong thing first. This is what people usually misunderstand. The goal is not to ignore unsecured debt. The goal is to place it correctly. Credit cards, medical bills, and personal loans matter, but they are usually slower and more negotiable than bills tied to shelter, transportation, utilities, insurance, taxes, or legal safety. The part people overlook is that a crisis month creates 2 kinds of damage: visible damage and structural damage. Visible damage is the red number on the app, the late fee, the collection letter, the credit score drop. Structural damage is losing the things that help you recover. After 3 months of paying by emotion, your life can look strange. The credit card may be current, but rent is behind. The collector may be quiet, but the electric bill is close to shut off. The medical provider may have received $50, but the car lender is losing patience. That is how a person can spend money every paycheck and still move backward. They are not doing nothing. They are doing the wrong first thing. That is the brutal part of bad financial management. Activity feels like progress until the wrong domino falls. Comment checklist below and check the pinned comment. I'll leave a free checklist there so you can sort your bills by real consequence, not pressure, and I'll include the private community details for deeper personal finance breakdowns. Now, let's take your $900 and walk through the order like a calm person would. Because the order is where the panic finally starts losing power. First, shelter gets protected because losing a home is not just losing a payment arrangement. It is losing the place where the rest of your life is organized. Rent is where your sleep, work clothes, documents, kids, routines, and recovery all live. If the rent is due and the credit card is yelling, the credit card may have to yell for a while. That does not mean you do not care. It means you understand that a damaged credit score is painful, but unstable housing can turn every simple problem into an expensive one. Second, protect the thing that protects income. For many people, that is the car. Not the dream car, not the status car. The practical car that gets you to work, daycare, job interviews, grocery stores, and the places where money is either earned or saved. This is where the fantasy of fairness breaks down. You may feel morally worse about missing a credit card payment than a car payment. But the math does not care how it feels. If the car disappears, paycheck may get smaller, and then every bill becomes harder. Third, keep basic utilities and insurance from turning into bigger problems. Electricity, water, gas, phone service, auto insurance, and health insurance are not exciting parts of financial education, but they are the quiet infrastructure of daily life. A phone bill may look smaller than everything else, but if your phone is how your manager reaches you, how you receive two-factor codes, how you schedule shifts, and how your kid's school contacts you, then that bill is not just entertainment. It is connection. Fourth, do not ignore taxes or government debt. They may not call with the same emotional pressure as a collector, but that is exactly what makes them dangerous. A quiet government notice can matter more than 10 dramatic emails from a credit card company. Fifth, move unsecured debt into the negotiable category. Credit cards, medical bills, personal loans, and old collections still matter. They can hurt your credit score. They can add fees. They can become stressful. But in many cases, they move slower than your fear says they do. Here's the psychological trap. You want to pay the bill that makes you feel normal again. But feeling normal for one afternoon is not the same as being safer next month. That is why a crisis budget has to be built around consequences, not comfort. So with $900, you do not try to impress every creditor. You protect the base, communicate before deadlines, and negotiate the rest. That is not giving up on your debt-free journey. That is making sure you are still standing long enough to finish it. Think about why this is so hard. A bill is never just a bill when you are already stressed. It becomes a story about whether you are responsible, whether you are falling behind, whether people would respect you if they knew how close the month really was. That story can make you do strange things with money. You might send $100 to a collector just to stop the calls, while the utility company is 2 notices away from disconnection. You might make a credit card payment to feel clean, while groceries go on another card that costs even more later. This is why people who know better still make bad financial decisions. They are not choosing from a calm place. They are choosing from a place where every bill sounds like a threat and every unpaid balance feels like evidence against them. Picture your monthly cash flow like a small bridge during a flood. Every bill is a truck trying to cross. In a normal month, maybe everything gets across slowly. But in a crisis month, the bridge cannot hold every truck at once. If you let the loudest truck go first just because it honks the hardest, the bridge may collapse before the emergency vehicles get through. That is what happens when you pay by pressure instead of priority. Shelter is an emergency vehicle. Transportation to work is an emergency vehicle. Utilities, insurance, taxes, food, and communication are emergency vehicles. They carry the things that keep your life functioning while you repair the rest. Credit cards, collections, and medical bills are heavy trucks. They matter, they can create damage, they can block the road. But when the bridge is already shaking, they may not be the first vehicles you send across. This is where the honest version matters. You are not trying to be perfect. You are trying to prevent the next problem from becoming bigger than the current problem. That is the heart of money management, when the math stops being comfortable. Comment traps below if you want the free checklist. I'll pin it in the comments so you can see which bills are loud, which bills are dangerous, and how to build your own crisis payment order before panic starts spending for you. Now take the $900 and divide it with a rule, not a feeling. Protect the base first, communicate with the bills that punish silence, and negotiate the bills that have room to move. Simple does not mean easy, but simple gives your fear fewer places to hide. Start with shelter. If you are short this month, call before the rent becomes a court problem. Ask what is possible, what is documented, what date matters, and what agreement needs to be in writing. Your goal is not to sound comfortable. Your goal is to keep the roof from becoming a crisis. Then protect transportation if it protects income. That might mean the car payment, insurance, fuel, or a necessary repair before it becomes a job problem. In a crisis budget, the car is not judged by how nice it looks. It is judged by whether it keeps money coming in. Next, call the bills that become more dangerous when ignored: utilities, taxes, student loans, medical providers, lenders, insurance companies. You are not calling because you have a perfect solution. You are calling because early communication can sometimes turn a hard consequence into a payment plan. Then deal with unsecured debt from a position of information, not fear. Before you pay an old collection, know what it is, how old it is, who owns it, whether the amount is accurate, and whether anything you agree to could restart a problem you thought was fading. Finally, build a 7-day plan before building a 6-month plan. What food is needed? What bill deadline happens first? What phone call has to happen tomorrow? What auto pay should be paused? What small expense is leaking cash while you are trying to survive the bigger problem? The big reveal is that unpaid bills are not just a test of money, they are a test of order. The same $900 can either buy you time, protect your income, keep your home stable, or disappear into the bill that made you feel most guilty. When money is short, the goal is not to look responsible. The goal is to stay recoverable. Protect the base, communicate early, negotiate carefully, and never let panic choose the order. So look at your own month. Which bill are you about to pay because it scares you? Which quiet bill have you been avoiding because it feels less dramatic? Which payment protects your life, and which one only protects your image? Comment checklist below and check the pinned comment. I'll leave the free bill priority checklist there, along with simple cash flow notes and private community details for calm personal finance breakdowns when the month feels too tight. If the money is not enough, the order becomes the strategy. And once you stop paying by fear, even a hard month becomes something you can think through instead of something that thinks for you.